Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening and welcome to round 8 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship. We've taken the short trip across the continent to the iconic Nurburgring circuit, nicknamed the Green Hell by Jackie Stewart. I'm sure after the craziness of the last round at Spa, I'm sure we're in for an absolute treat here tonight. Now tonight, instead of driving the full GP layout, we're driving the so-called sprint layout. We're going to miss out the Dunlop curve and instead just packing even more action around the circuit tonight. My name is Sebastian Posture Williams. Excuse me. In the production booth is Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me in the commentary box is a newcomer to the ARA Formula 4 Championship, Tim Cox. Tim, welcome along. I mean, we're already at round 8. We've got 2 rounds left to go in the championship. We're at a so-called sprint layout circuit tonight. How crazy do you envision this race being?
Well, Seb, I think you've pretty much already teed this up what it's going to be. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fast, furious. This circuit, well, the layout of the circuits that we're currently running on tonight, the sprint layout, it harps back to me to a unfamiliar circuit on the old version of the Nurburgring. Of course, there was the Nordschleife, which is enshrined in history, and not just motor racing, but also the automobile industry the world over. The Südschleife, which pretty much lies along the Grand Prix circuit, but very little known. Bentonschleife, the original sprint circuit at the Nurburgring, at 1.4 miles long, 2.2 kilometers. It was fast, furious. A lot less corners, though, than what we're going to see tonight. Seb, with these cars, the IRA 4s, it's brought in absolutely great, close, wheel-to-wheel action and racing. They're incredibly enjoyable to drive. And I think what we're going to see tonight is just some absolute epic racing from green flag through to checkered, and nothing less in between.
Nothing less in between. I completely agree with you there, Tim. A little bit of a change-up, in fact, from the format that we normally run in the ARA Formula 4 series. We don't have the sprint race format. Instead, we've got 2 25-minute races, and the second race will have a reverse top 8. So more racing here. The consistency is going to be even more important. And another little bit of a difference to this race is we have no Will Redford. Redford, you know, been on the grid at every single round so far. He is not here, so our championship leader unable to extend his points lead. Tobias Olsen, though, the car number 1, he is on the track at the moment, heading through the first sector. Tim, we've got, as we were mentioning, a shorter track here tonight, and the drivers are going to have to struggle even more to get their tyres warmed up, I should say. And it looks like to me, Tim, that the drivers are going to do 2 outlaps before really pushing, because nobody at the moment really setting very good quick sectors at the moment.
They're really not, Seb, and I think it's going to be a bit of a fight for who claims pole here, and some incredibly close times in between as well, as we've seen pretty much all season long, to be fair, Seb. And I really don't know how to call this of who's going to take pole, or at least who my favourite would be. Like, Yumantas is going to be one of them potentially, but it really could go absolutely anyway. It's so hard to choose.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that we don't have Will Redford, the driver that's qualified most on a pole position. It's really open for a new name to be at the top of the timing stands. Cannot wait to get this qualifying underway as we just get ready to have a look at the lap. And actually, why don't we have a look at the championship standings, Tim? So, round 8, as I said, 2 rounds to go. Talk us through our championship standings.
Just having a few issues with my end, Seb, at the moment. Apologies about that. Let's see if we can correct those shortly. But let's, while we're sorting out those couple of issues right now, let's have a bit of a look back to the previous race, really, Seb, where it was. Well, I know you missed out, didn't you, because you were covering another league, but an incredibly close affair there once again in this. What's supposed to be an absolutely epic season.
Oh, Spa, I mean, yeah, gutted actually, in fact, that I missed out on that. Our producer Sam, though, did a wonderful job covering all of the action. Redford didn't have a good race. We saw the rise of some other drivers that really haven't been able to shine. Yumentis won the final, Suarez second, Mullov third, the Pro-Am driver finishing on the overall podium, and we've got those issues fixed. So if we could have the championship standings up, we can run you through those as we see everybody now starting to starting to get the lap times on the board. Here are your Pro Championship standings, and the gap between Will Redford and Lennart Schnabel almost, or just over I should say, 200 points. Redford comfortably in the lead. Not here tonight, but I don't think that will really impact his championship standings one bit. Lennart Schnabel in second place, got that win. He almost got the win, I should say, at Laguna Seca a few rounds ago. Managed to get it in the next round. Schnabel having a great season. He's currently 40 points ahead of Humantis in third. Closed the gap, did Humantis at Spa with that A final win. Zwemstra in fourth, Suarez fifth, and Marteau in sixth place. We haven't really seen too much of him so far, but whenever he showed up to the event, he's been absolutely rapid. Lawedo in seventh, Johan Stolt in eighth, Isaac Arvidsson in ninth. Haven't seen him since the first 2 rounds or so. He was so rapid at the start of the season. Unfortunate that we haven't really seen his career in the ARA Formula 4s really develop. In Bruno Canavas in 10th place. That's your Pro Championship standing. So it's still all up to play for in that mid-pack, isn't it, Tim? You know, actually, we'll have a look at Mullov-Tova, I mean, comfortably in the lead. She was switched from the the AM series, I should say, or the AM Championships, to the Pro-Am. Done an incredible job. She's in the lead. Morgan Nielsen second, Tobias Seck third, Daniel Porter in fourth, Michael Griffin fifth, Oliver Bunn in sixth place, Spence seventh, Quenza eighth, Daniel White ninth, and Rickard Boberg in 10th. And Tim, can you take us through our AM Championship standings?
We certainly are being led by Philip Russell. A hefty gap, 59 points between himself and Andy Lee, who's currently occupying second place. Charney going to run out those podium positions, but it's incredibly close between Lee and Charney, with only 9 points separating the pair of them. Joseph Givens, he's not too far behind either, Seb, right now. Some 23 points, the gap between himself and Charney, so he's still in with a shout in these last stages of making up inside the top 3 within AM, with Tukey, Arroyo, Lubert, Wong, Walsh, Palmer, Lee running out your top 10. And again, once again, it's similar in AM. That midfield battle is incredibly close, incredibly tight in terms of points between them.
It's going to be one to continue to watch for in the last 2 rounds. Who, you know, he's gathered that momentum throughout the season. We're really seeing, you know, Jackie Wong really springs to mind. He's been so rapid in the second half of the season, really sort of set the AM standings alight. So watch for him. He could improve even further. You're right, the middle of all of the championship packs really close. Lennart Schnabel, though, very close to Oliver Bunn. Schnabel in provisional pole, Bunn only 0.06 of a second off Schnabel. Well, scrap that. Tobias Olsen heads to the top of the timing stands. He was the quickest man in practice and goes to the top of the leadings in qualifying. Schnabel 0.07 of a second off Olsen. Schnabel also improving, just not able to find as much time as Tobias Olsen has. So Wemstra, he's a really good shout for this race in my opinion. He's been so rapid over the course of the season, just not had the luck, and with Redford gone, got a really good chance for some good points here today. He's in 7th at the moment. Philip Russell, where can he go? The king, as it were, of the AM standings. He's done so incredibly well, always been there or thereabouts. Givens just leading out Russell at the moment. 10th and 11th for those 2 drivers. Bunn, though, Tim, in 3rd place. This is a Pro AM driver. Incredible performance by him at the moment.
It is, and considering Moldova's stranglehold on the championship so far this season within Pro-Am, Seb, to out-qualify here and also by a good 10th, and both of those 2, in fact, fighting up there, 2nd and 3rd rows of the grid, really cat amongst the pigeon style with the pro drivers. They're going to have potentially a really good race. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle it, whether they take the fight to the pros or they consolidate their race a bit more and look after their own championship aspirations. It's going to be a really fascinating one to see that. But also, likewise, in AM as well, with Givens up in 10th place, 5th row of the grid. That's a good starting point. We've seen people have strong starts from all the way back there previously. But I mean, as for our top 2, Olsen and Schnabel, under attempt, separating the pair of them. Svenstra just heads up into 4th there, pushing Molotova. Well, a position down, but still on the 3rd row of the grid, Seb.
We have a look at the moment at Kevin Zwemstra being held up by Pedro Suarez. That's not going to help his qualifying chances at all. Zwemstra currently in 4th place, goes for a spin as Oliver Bunn got the chicane wrong at the end of the lap. Of course, not the chicane that many of the drivers prefer. It's always a discussion, isn't it, Tim? Whenever we come to the Nurburgring, all of the drivers want the high-speed chicane. It's easier to drive, but it's going to give such a good overtaking opportunity for the drivers out there. But unfortunately, Bunn coming off worse. He won't have another chance, so 3rd will be the best place Oliver Bunn can start from. But Tim, as I alluded to, we've got some really good overtaking opportunities around the track. Where do you think we're going to see the most action here today?
Turn 1, Seb. Good drive out of the final corner, and it's all about that race, the slipstream down to turn 1, and get a car on the outside quite often, and that gives you then the sort of the inside then into turn 2. So that's going to be the interesting point for me.
Well, here is your grid for race number 1. Tobias Olsson on pole position. He's got Lennart Schnabel alongside him. Less than a 10th separates your top 2. Watch out for that in the race. Oliver Bunn in 3rd. Fantastic qualifying by him. Zwemstra just outside the top 3. He's in 4th place. Pedro Suarez in 5th with Sarah Mulovtova in 6th place. Aris Jumentis in 7th. Tobias Sek alongside him on the 4th row of the grid. Hans Morgan Nielsen in 9th with Daniel Porter rounding out your top 10. Joseph Givens in 11th. He's got the AM pole position. Great drive by him. Philip Russell, 2/10, in fact, off Joseph Givens. Watch out for Russell. Such a good racer. Jackie Wong, I was mentioning him earlier on. He's in 13th. Again, watch out for him. Andy Lee, 14th. Michael Griffin in 15th. Arthur Arroyo in 16th. Garrett Spence is 17th with Kumali Charney alongside him. Jay Walsh in 19th place with Nick Polliard rounding out your top 20. Jose Arroyo will be in 21st place. And Ricard Boberg, your final driver for the race today. He has not, though, taken to the grid. We'll watch out for him as we get ready to go racing around here. Tim, you mentioned turn 1 being a hot spot. It's a long run down to turn 1. The tyres are going to be cold. It's all about who can control their braking performance the most. Lennart Schnabel starts in 2nd place. A race winner this season. So is Olsson, who is going to come out. We don't have the heat format here tonight. It's 2 25-minute races with the top 8 reversed for race number 2. Here come the lights. We get ready to go racing at round 8 of the ARA Formula 4 series. All lights are on and we go underway. It's a good start from your top 2. Everybody, in fact, getting away cleanly. It's a super start there from Oliver Bunn, challenging Schnabel. Also, though, covers across on the back of Schnabel. They're 3 wide as we head down towards turn 1. Mulovtova's being overtaken in the background. Olsson leads, Schnabel 2nd, Bunn 3rd. Zwemstra 4th. Suarez, though, making up places on Mulovtova. Mulovtova must have gotten past Suarez at the start, but regaining that position to the inside goes one of the Pro-Am drivers. That's Tobias Sek trying to get past Sarah Mulovtova. Does successfully. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside of the stadium section there. 2x2. Looks fairly clean, though, from the start. Nobody really losing any major positions. They're side by side as we head into turn 5. The shortcut around here. Mulovtova's going to push the other car wide. Mulovtova and Tobias Sek still battling out now into turn 6. Mulovtova's got the inside line. They're going to compromise themselves, though. Watch for Jumentis. He's down a position. He's got a great opportunity, Tim, to get past Mulovtova and, to be honest, Tobias Sek as we head up towards the chicane for the first time.
This is playing right into the hands in Pro-Am over Bunn, as this is going to be a change for the lead there. So that's Olsson up the inside of Schnabel. But look at Bunn, the flying Welshman. Not only he's had a cracking start, but he is right hot on the heels of our top 2.
Jumentis down to the inside into turn 11. That's on Mulovtova. Mulovtova defended into the chicane, but Jumentis gets by anyway. They're side by side, both trying to steal off a little bit of slipstream from Tobias Sek. Tobias Olsson, though, leads the race overall. You're right, there's a flying Welshman in 3rd. He's trying to go around the outside of Lennart Schnabel. Can't find a way through into turn 1. We go. It's Olsson, Schnabel, Bunn, and then all craziness in the background. We've got Suarez, Sek, Mulovtova and Jumentis. Mulovtova managing to get past Arias Jumentis. So Jumentis not really finding that momentum he needs to at this early part of the race. We head through the exit of turn 4 now towards turn 5, the shortcut on the track, the corner where the drivers will naturally be the least practiced. They don't tend to race this layout very often. Olsen, though, defends towards the inside. Schnabel in second, Bun in third. In the background, it's still Mullov-Tova, Yamantis, now Nielsen and Givens are getting involved in that little scrap at the moment. Tim, as we head now onto the exit of turn 7 onto the back straight, Yamantis, he really needs to get these moves done because he's sort of seeing that top 4 just slip away.
They are pulling away, Seb, and comfortably, and all this infighting right now from 6 downwards is not helping their cause as to stay on the back of the top 5, who are definitely pulling away, as we just see a bit further down the field. Ian Am.
Oh, wide!
Whoa, how did he miss them, Seb?
How did Tobias Olsen not end up in the wall? Crazy reaction skills there from our number 1 car, but Zwemp's just trying to capitalise on that mistake. He's to the inside. Tobias Olsen's tyres will be screaming with heat. He's almost into the back of Oliver Bunn. Bunn so nearly got taken out by, in fact, both 3rd and 4th, but manages to escape. And Tim, this is the mistake for Tobias Olsen. What is going to happen to our pole sitter?
So I believe he just ran wide, Seb, and got out onto the grass, and that's what started the chain reaction. So you see where he's defending hard to Schnabel. So he bounces across the curbs, all good, gets a half-decent exit, defensive once again. You can see where he's positioned his car a bit more towards the middle of the road. And I think this is where it just... Oh, you see that big switch of oversteer mid-corner, that's what forced him wide, and wow. Oliver Bunn, how did you avoid that one? Because that could have been race ending for himself and Olsen. Zvenstra is dropped behind Olsen right now. Olsen's managed to pick back up at least one of the places that he's lost.
Olsen up into 3rd. Yamantis and Mullov-Tova still battling it out into the chicane. Yamantis past Mullov-Tova. Mullov-Tova now coming under pressure from Nielsen behind. But again, Yamantis slow on the exit. As we head into turn 11, Mullov-Tova's going to have the run. She's going to have the slipstream. Yamantis is just a little bit too far back from Tobias Sek in 6th place, so he's not going to get any benefit. And Yamantis once again coming under pressure. Mullov-Tova, Nielsen and Givens as well. Don't count them out in the fight for 7th place. In fact, it's Nielsen on the inside of Mullov-Tova. That's a late move there from 9th place. We'll make that 8th place. Nielsen now going to have to go all the way around the outside of turn 2. Mullov-Tova defends to the inside. She's going to be slow though on the exit. That's going to allow Nielsen to get the cut back, but just backs out of it. Doesn't really want to take that risk early on in this race. 20 minutes of racing left to go in race number 1. Nielsen now coming under pressure from our lead amateur driver, Joseph Givens. Great job by him. Through turn 5 we go. Here, the floor bottoming out. Cars on the absolute maximum and the limit of their performance. Olsen, Tim, already now past Oliver Bunn. Olsen in 2nd place. Do you still think we've got a fight for the overall lead around here?
Not sure, Seb. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tough, and it could happen. I mean, anything can happen and will happen in these races. I mean, we've already seen a mistake from Olsen. Will it be time before Schnabel makes that mistake? It's only half a second between himself and Olsen, and this is going to be close. And with Olsen being in the slipstream, out of Coca-Cola curb, down the start-finish straight, that gap's going to shrink even further, and there you go, the fastest lap of the race so far from Olsen by a considerable margin, about 2 to 3 tenths there, Seb, from Olsen. So definitely pacing the car, and he's already taken another quarter of a tenth out of Schnabel. And all of a sudden, Schnabel's looking very exposed and under threat right now.
Tobias Olsen's just got so much more pace at this stage of the race. Tim, where do you think he's going to make a position? Actually, I'll come back to you in a minute. Yamantis spinning on the entrance to turn 4. Yamantis was locked in that Sek Mullov-Tova Nielsen Givens battle. What has happened to Arias Yamantis coming into turn 3? A little bit of a snap on the entry. Rear tyres just plain old too hot, I think, there, Tim. But, I mean, gutting for Yamantis. Finally managed to make it past Mullov-Tova. Was starting to catch up to Tobias Sek, and all of that work has just been undone in the matter of seconds.
Battle for the lead, Seb. Here we go. Olsen up the inside. Oh, Seb, this is close.
Oh! Big accident. Schnabel into the side of Tobias Olsen. Olsen flying off the track. Thought Bun was going to make a move. Oh, and a bad rejoin there from Tobias Olsen. Made contact, not quite sure with what car, but Bun's got a great run at this at the moment. Zwemp's just somehow managed to find himself in second place. Schnabel is still going. I think he's got damage to that Formula 4 car, though. Schnabel walking wounded, I think, at the moment into turn 1. Is Schnabel going to be able to get it towards the apex? Yes, he is. So he's at least got some grip in his car. Zwempstra, though, the biggest gainer out of all of that. Mullov and Givens now fighting into turn 1. Olsen into the pit. Tim, and I mean, that was sort of two separate incidents. We had Schnabel and Olsen, and that was always inevitably going to happen once they went side by side into the chicane. Tim, talk us through it.
Not necessarily, Seb. So they gave each other room, and wow, where Schnabel just tried to keep his car on the outside, and Olsen had just sort of almost opened up his steering a little bit, and that rejoin did not help himself whatsoever. That was Nilsson who he made contact with, and I mean, Nilsson, just looking at his car, Seb, I think he might have got away with that one with no damage. I'm not quite sure how, considering that was a big old clout, but right now we've got the two teammates in first and second of Alcantech NHR, and I'm sure that Zemstra's just going to back up Bun and keep him at bay. But that's equally going to bring Suarez and Zach into the fight, which doesn't help Bun at all, because Zach obviously second in class right now, the Pro-Am class.
Givens into the pit, so why has he come into the pits? He picked up some form of damage. Zwempstra in second place, Bun in third. You're right, they are teammates in first and second. Bun, I think, is going to have a real difficult game if he wants to get past both of the Alcantech drivers. Suarez in fourth as well. Another gainer actually from that battle. It's now, you know, the top four separated by less than 2 seconds. Suarez really in this fight, and actually don't count out Tobias Sek as well. You see him in the background. He's got that green halo, which indicates that he is a Pro-Am car. So we've got in the top 5 2 Pro-Am drivers, 3 pros. What more could you ask for around the Nurburgring for race number 1? Philip Russell gotten past Joseph Givens. I think you're right, Tim. Givens was involved in that Tobias Olsen rejoin. So Philip Russell now inherited the AM lead. He's now got to see if he can get past Mullov. Mullov feels like all she's done this race is defend. Supreme's defending by her in her defense, but Nielsen getting past her. Russell trying to make her his way as well. As we head into the chicane, 10 minutes gone in this race, 15 to go, nearing the halfway point. And of course, Tim, when we get to race number 2 and we have our reverse grid, the top 8 will reverse, and all of a sudden Philip Russell's looking very good at the start of race 2.
It is. So this is on board with Sarah Molotova. I'm sure I can hear a car at the inside. That is Givens. So they are side by side on the exit of turn 1. All looks good. Molotova still ahead now. They're coming through the left-hander. A big twitch there in the foreground. No, it's all looking okay. It must happen a little bit further later in the lap, because Givens has a whole ton of time.
Yeah, the curious case of Joseph Givens' race. I'll have a look at that in a minute, but Lennart Schnabel still under pressure. Zwempstra 3/10 separating himself and his teammate in second. Oliver Bunn isn't that far behind in third. They're starting, though, to gap Suarez and Sek off the track, and actually in the background there, he was that running very wide on the exit of turn 7, really taking the grass cutter approach to this race circuit. Schnabel in the race lead so far. Look at that rear wing. He's got so little downforce on that car. He's going to be so difficult, is Lennart Schnabel, to pass. He's going to be so slippery in a straight line. Zwempstra in second, but Bunn is in third. And it just feels like he's punching way above his weight and doing an absolutely outstanding job. Do you think Bunn could go on for a race win here?
Not sure about the race win, Seb, but a podium overall, I think there's a chance of having a Pro-Am driver on the tip. Bunn would be your favourite, but I tell you what, Sek isn't far behind, as we're just seeing Nilsson and Molotova race down to turn 1. Molotova on the inside, just going to squeeze Nilsson out, but I tell you what, Nilsson just Tried to keep it in there, couldn't quite. Let's over. Lives to fight another day in 6th place, and a little further down the order. I tell you what, this guy Jackie Wong needs to really get the hammer down and grind out some almost quali-style laps to take the fight to Philip Russell, who's currently 3.8 seconds up the road. And like you said, come race 2, the grid being formed from race results of race 1 with the top 8, then inverted. Russell's going to have a massive advantage. He's currently sitting in 8th.
You're right. A driver in the background going for a spin. That's Nick Polliard. I think he disconnected, or at least he did on my screen. Maybe why he ended up backwards on the exit of turn 3. Polliard gets going again, loses 2 positions to Arroyo and Joseph Givens as well. And this is Jay Walsh. The battle for 20th place between Porter and Walsh.
Bun up the inside.
Good spot there, Tim. Didn't quite catch that. Bun, supreme move to the inside of turn 11. Zwemstra's in the slipstream. He wants his position back almost as soon as he's lost it, side by side as we head down towards turn 1. Bun is on the inside line. He's going to be rapid into the apex of the corner, but Zwemstra is going to have so much extra pace on the exit. Bun just covers off Kevin Zwemstra though, so Bun successfully defends his 2nd place. Almost took Zwemstra by surprise, took me by surprise into the final corner. Bun, the Welshman, up to 2nd place.
What a move from Bun, and that was pretty much already done in the move that he pulled into Coca-Cola Curve. And Bun was just able to keep it on the inside, went heavily defensive early on, and that just allowed him to facilitate the move, get it done against Zwemstra. You can see Zwemstra, identical lap times between the two for the last 4 laps, except the last, where Bun was quicker by 3 attempts. Now, Seb, while this has been going on, Schnabel has pulled away. He's extended the gap to 1.6 seconds ahead of these two. It's a tall order, but we have got 11 minutes remaining. It is game on at the sharp end of the grid here.
I'd like to welcome you, Tim, to the ARA Formula 4s, because every single race we have is just like this. It's so intriguing, and there's never a clear, definitive winner. There's always a battle. There's always a story running through the race, and we've got exactly that here in race number 1 of round 8. Of course, only got 3 races, I should say, left to go after this one in the championship. So we're getting to the closing stages now, and we are certainly delivering. Schnabel, you're right, really gained after Bun and Zwemstra were sort of scrapping it out into turn 1. Mantis trying to get past Lee. Lee to the inside, really wanting to take that inside defensive line. But Mantis says, don't worry, I'll just simply get the switch back on you. They're side by side as we head into turn 2. Mantis is going to have to stick it all the way around the outside. He's entitled to some space on the outside. Lee not really forthcoming with that space. Pushes him out wide as we head into turn 3 as well. Mantis maybe starting to get a little bit irate at the back of the wheel. Again, Lee pulls to the inside line, really on the limit defending, I think, here from the AM driver. Mantis forced to go all the way around the outside into turn 5. Never really going to find your way past the car there, but somehow, and they touch, and that was going to happen from the moment we jumped on board with those two, with the defensive move we saw Lee pull off. Mantis now dropping down once again. Tim, how would you call that? Do you think Lee was just a little bit over the line there?
Mantis has been struggling all race 1 since this couple of instances have dragged him down through the order and away from the drivers that he'd normally been competing with, and was clearly pushing hard to try and clear drivers that he feels it and probably is quicker than over 1 lap. And that frustration, tried for a move that maybe wasn't quite there, but in the end it's come from bad to worse for Mantis, down in 11th now. But we'll have his compatriots starting pro category, starting not too far in front of him in race 2 if things round out like they currently are. But Russell's managed to get ahead of Nielsen. They won't be starting on pole for race 2, as I've said, I think stand at the moment, but will still be on the front row.
Is this a situation, Tim, where you might think about almost dropping behind Nielsen, or does Russell just want the points as much as he can get? Of course, as I've been mentioning all throughout the races to go, points are really precious. Tell you what though, what are also precious, the Apex Racing Academy setups. They have 29 data packs, and they give you setups, track guides, And of course, it's integrated with virtual racing schools, so you can gain and you can see all of the telemetry from the pro drivers. And also they have weekly group coaching sessions and plus much more. Find the link in the description if you think the Apex Racing Academy might be the perfect thing to improve your driving performance. Have a look back at the action on your screen. Mullov under pressure from Nielsen. Nielsen tries to do what Bund did to Zwemstra and successfully, in fact, does it. I think sort of goaded Mullov into making a mistake, though she's going to have a superb exit onto the back straight. But this is Oliver Bund and Zwemstra to the outside line. It's almost a carbon copy of what we saw a few laps ago from our leading two, as we see Mullov now under pressure from Nielsen. Mullov managing to get past Nielsen. Nielsen with that late lunge into turn 11 didn't come off the way that he would have wanted. Mullov survives another lap, but Mullov, I think, won't even remember the layout of this circuit. She's just been constantly looking in the mirrors this entire race.
She's looking incredibly racy, Mr. Cheshire driver, right now. I mean, a cracking result for her in that 6th place overall. But, I mean, Pro-Am has been really taking the fight to the pros here and making their lives incredibly uncomfortable. So you look back from Svensson, that is Bun behind. And really clattering the curbs. It's not going to help Bun's exit on the run through to Coca-Cola. But what can Bun do down the start-finish straight? We've seen it once before. Are we going to see it again? Who's going to get down to turn 1 first? Well, there is a back marker that coming up onto the back of that is Jay Walsh. What part of the story is Walsh going to play in this? They're going to catch him probably around the exit of the Mercedes Arena. And also Bun is under heavy threat now from Suarez.
Mullov once again under pressure from Hans Morgan Nielsen. Nielsen fakes it to the inside. Mullov though, this time wary to his tricks, as it were. Nielsen still in 7th place. Russell now gaining on this battle, so he's back in 8th place. So what has gone on then? Sorry, it was the other way around a few laps ago. All happening at the moment in this race. Rickard Boberg, what has happened to him? He's normally absolutely rapid. I think it was at Laguna Seca where he was up at the sharp edge of the grid, lunging to the inside. That's Kawali Chani Boberg is racing with at the moment. Chani not having a great race, but it's almost made contact, actually, the back. That was Givens making contact with Rickard Boberg. Boberg to the inside, gets past Kamwali Chani. He's going to go all the way around the outside of turn 4. And actually, Given says, thank you very much. I will take that position as well. Chani goes from 15th to 17th in the space of 2 corners. But Boberg now going to be under pressure from Givens. Up at your head of the field, Bun once again getting past Kevin Zwemstra. So Zwemstra re-overtaken. They're almost 3 wide as we rejoin the battle. Bun did the same thing, it looks like, that he did a few laps ago. Surprises Zwemstra on the apex of turn 11. It gets past the pro driver there, side by side into the braking zone. We're going to see exactly what we've seen Bun do all those laps. Yes, he just runs wide, covered off the inside line. Suarez, though, is a dark horse in this race. He's got the inside line as we head in towards turn number 3. Suarez on the inside of Kevin Zwemstra. Oliver Bun is absolutely loving this at the moment. He's just running away with this battle. Suarez has made Zwemstra defend into turn 4. He's going to be slow off the exit. Does Suarez think about going all the way around the outside of turn 5 like we saw Jumentis do? Somewhat unsuccessfully for Jumentis. Suarez, though, decides against that particular move. Suarez in 4th, Zwemstra in 3rd, but Bun in 2nd and just running away with it at the moment.
He's managed to pull out a 2nd gap over Zwemstra and Suarez in 3rd and 4th, and the Welshman is having an absolute field day here in Germany. So it's on board with Nielsen. Let's see what's happened there. So this is going to be a move up the inside against, that's Philip Russell, I believe. Yes, it is. So Russell back down into 8th, but potentially could actually help him. Still leading the AM category. Well, I say that, they're at it once again. And this is Russell up the inside, but I think he's not going to be able to keep all the place. No, he's not, as Nielsen just pits back in front of him.
I was having Schnabel-Olsen flashbacks, though. They get through the corner more successfully. This is Lee on Dorian Arroyo. Arroyo dropping down now into 13th place. Lee on the comeback after making contact with Juventus a few laps to go. Philip Russell trying to get past Nilsson. This battle still raging on. Russell to the inside. He's got the position up to 7th place. He goes. He inherits more points in this race, but gives Nilsson the reverse grid pole. So it's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Is that a little bit of damage on the front wing of Hans Morgan Nilsson? I think it is. That rear wing not necessarily looking as in as a better shape as he would have liked. Russell though wide on the exit of turn 4. That's going to give a huge opportunity to Nilsson. We ride on board with Wong into the braking zone of turn 5. Wong's got it all wrong. He could have capitalized on the 2 up ahead fighting him. We have 2 minutes left to go in this race. Tim, many battles playing themselves out at the moment. Jackie Wong though, he could get a reverse grid pole here, and I think he will. Look at that, that's Nilsson off the track. Oh, they're going to make contact!
Oh, that cements it now for Russell. As Wong, well, it's all gone wrong for Wong. And there is Nilsson in a horrific shape as well. And that means Yamantas is now back up to 8th, and that means he's going to have reverse grid pole as Nilsson's retired straight to the pits. Well, Yamantas looked dead and buried here. He was lying around 11th, then all of a sudden, the blink of an eye, with a minute and a half left on the clock, reverse grid pole. So this is Andy Lee. And all just catches the grass on the inside of the corner, a bit too much curb. This is Wong, sorry. And you can see just where Nilsson ran wide and where Wong was trying to carry all of the momentum round the outside so he could get the best run on Nilsson. It all went horribly wrong for him. He made contact, and that was it. But there is Yamantas, and as things stands, he will be your race suit reverse grid pole sitter.
It almost was like the parting seas for Juventus. We saw it on that replay. You had Nilsson going one way, I should say, one going the other. Juventus drove through the middle, and you're right, takes that 8th place. Really crucial for him. He's got such a good opportunity to recover some points in this race. Lennart Schnabel really cementing that race lead after making or after losing the lead and having contact with Olsen. He's going to cross the line. I think he's got one more lap to go, one more tour around the Nurburgring sprint circuit. Schnabel sets the fastest lap of the race for good measure, some 0.2 quicker than Oliver Bunn in second. Schnabel just got to keep it on the track. 3 turn 1, nice and tidy for him. Bunn 3.7 seconds off Schnabel. And Tim, I'm not trying to create, you know, a sort of any false drama here. I hate when commentators do that. But when you start to sort of drive, you know, a little bit below your limit, you can start to become more accident prone. So Schnabel really got to keep on top of the car on this final lap.
I see you spot on, Seb. There's a fine line of just running it back a little bit to look after the car, which can invariably make yourself quicker. But on the flip side, if you back off too far, then it all goes horribly wrong, where you almost get a bit complacent. But this is a run across the line. Givens past Spence, who I don't think we mentioned all race long, the Pro-Am driver. But there you go, losing a place to Givens. Currently 3rd in Am right now, but your leader has only got the chicane and Coca-Cola curve left to go.
Comes round the final 2 corners into turn 11. Car heads off into the pit lane, but that won't phase Lennart Schnabel. Schnabel has had a dream second half to this season, and that's going to cement it for him. He comes across the line to win race number 1 here tonight. And he led from almost start to finish. Oliver Bunn, the flying Welshman, in second place, seizing upon the opportunities that were granted to him. Supreme defending as well. And Philip Russell, the AM driver, our lead AM driver, he's going to come across the line to win the class, but more crucially, start second in race number 2. And Juventus, after all of the dramas that he had, he will be your reverse grid pole sitter. So Juventus almost finding a race where there was none to find. Griffin will come across the line in 9th place. Dorian Arroyo 10th, Ricard Boberg will be 11th. This battle still just about going on. Spent just a little bit too far back from Givens to make any form of challenge into turn 11. Kawali Chani, he's going to be in 14th place. Good points for him. Not the race I think that he would have expected, but still, as I said, good points, and points really do mean prizes at this late stage of the season. Bunn looks like he's absolutely pushing at the moment as we head on the exit of turn 7. Has anybody told Oliver Bunn that the race has in fact finished, and he, in fact, has finished on the overall podium?
What a result, Seb. What a result from Bunn. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more, really. Pro-Am driver, second overall. What an amazing result for him.
What an amazing result indeed. I mean, completely deserved. Bunn's had the pace all season, so good to see him finally be able to deliver on that promise. Here are your race 1 results. Schnabel, your race winner. Oliver Bunn, second, as we were saying. Zwemstra in third. Pedro Suarez in 4th place. Good points for him in race number 1. Tobias Sek 5th. Well, of Tova in 6th place. After all of that defending, she gets a Pro-Am podium, so congratulations to her. Russell in 7th, Humantis in 8th, Michael Griffin in 9th, Dorian Arroyo 10th, Ricard Boberg just outside the top 10, he's in 11th, Joseph Givens, the only driver to come into the pits and continue on, he's in 12th, he's got the pace, just hope he has a little bit more luck in race number 2. Spence is 13th, Kamali Chani in 14th. And then we go on, Nick Polliard, the last of our drivers on the lead lap. He's in 15th. Porter 1 lap down in 16th. So is Jay Walsh in 17th. Andy Lee in 18th place. We saw that mistake for him at turn number 2. Jackie Wong, we saw the incident between himself and Nilsson. They both finish 1 lap down and 2 laps down for Wong and Nilsson. And Jose Arroyo in 21st place. And Tobias Olsen we lost after that contact we saw between himself and the race leader for the race lead at the chicane. And Tim, what a superb race that we had around here. But I tell you what, just to calm down and let our viewers as well just rest before we do it all again for race number 2, we're going to quickly go to an ad break, and we'll be back in a few minutes time for race number 2.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use
And welcome back to round 8 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 series. We have 3 races left to go in this season today. We're at the sprint layout of the Nurburgring. Tim, what an amazing race 1 we had. It had it all. We had a battle up at the lead. We had a Pro-Am really almost exceeding their class. And we've got it all again for race number 2.
Seb, what can I say? I said it'd be drama from green through checkered, and some big stories coming out of this one. Pro-Am driver in the form of Oliver Bunn, finishing second place overall. And then to boot, your leader in AM, Philip Russell, finishing in 8th, which means he will start from pole in race 2. Some big stories coming out of here. And I think race 2 with that jumbled up grid, your Mantas as well just squeezing in. Apologies, Russell was 7th after that big incident at the end, which allowed you Mantas into 8th, means he will start from pole. Try to fathom this one out, Seb, because it will go absolutely anyway. The grid is truly jumbled up, and anyone could take victory here.
They really could. It's why everybody adores reverse grid races. Jumentis takes the reverse grid pole. Russell, as you mentioned, Tim, in 2nd. Mullov third. Tobias Sek alongside her in 4th place. Pedro Suarez in 5th. Zwemscher in 6th. Oliver Bunn in 7th. Lennart Schnabel in 8th. And then it's from there, this same order as they finish in race number 1. The top 8 being inverted. We've got Griffin, Arroyo, Boberg, Givens, Spence, Charney, Polliard, Porter, Walsh, Lee, Wong, Nilsson, Arroyo, and Tobias Olsen, the drivers who maybe didn't have the perfect race 1. Tobias Olsen, Jackie Wong, Lee as well come to mind. All of these drivers have another chance to reset the clock and do it all over again. As everybody gets on the grid, they get ready to go racing. As we look towards your pole sitter, Arias Jumentis is on pole. Alongside him is Philip Russell. The lights come on as we get ready to go racing. It's a poor start there from Russell in 2nd place. Superb start from Mullov and Sek on the 2nd row, but Jumentis leads as we head down towards turn 1. They're going to go 3 wide in the 2nd row. Philip Russell late under brakes. That might just help him defend his place. There's an Alcantech car there. Lennart Schnabel, he's making up moves at the moment. Somebody's driving across the track. That's Tobias Sek in 3rd, defending very hard from Mullov. Battle very much resumed from race 1 there. Russell now under pressure from Tobias Sek. Russell now on the inside line into turn 3. Mullov is going to try and come around all the way around the outside. And now Lennart Schnabel, race 1 winner, also capitalising on that. Russell just falling down the order at the moment. Tim just manages to pull ahead of Lennart Schnabel. Sorry, that was the big crash in the background.
Bum was the instigator of that one. And then, there's cars connected together. There's Lee, Arroyo, Givens, Bunn, all caught up in that one, Seb. But I tell you what, all that's going on, Tobias Olsen up 13 places, and we haven't even completed lap 1.
Tobias Olsen already in the top 10. 9th place is his at the moment. What can he do? You're right, Tim, a supreme start from him. It was Zwemstra, one of the Alcantech cars, who got the better start. I mean, he's fighting with Mullov into turn 11. Schnabel up the inside of Russell. And now we have an Alcantech in 4th and 5th place. Mullov defending once again. I said that she wouldn't remember the layout of this track. She just has been looking in the mirrors this entire race, doing a supreme job though, but Zwemstra's coming through. He's on the inside line. Look at Schnabel braking really late, almost making contact with the back of Sarah Mullov. Just avoids any incident though. Russell losing another spot, Tim. He's down in 7th place. Olsen now up into 8th, and it seems like it will be a matter of time before Olsen is on the back and passing Philip Russell. Zwemstra and Mullov still having a go at it. Mullov trying to go all the way around the outside of turn 4. Look at this. Race winner. Race number 1 around here, I should say. Lennart Schnabel trying to get involved in the action. Suarez, though, making a meal out of this as well. He wants to get past. He wants to capitalise as much as possible. Mullov and Zwemstra are still side by side as we head into turn 6, but Zwemstra has got the outside line, and Schnabel's going to try and follow his teammate through. And there's contact in the background. Mullov, and I think that was Schnabel or maybe Suarez, but Mullov off the track. She's going to lose a heap of positions. Griffin gets past her as well for good measure. We head now towards the chicane. Suarez looking to the outside line. Olsen trying to get past him on the inside line. Is it going to be a repeat of race 1? Olsen flies through the air for the briefest of moments, but manages to not make any more contact like we saw in race number 1. Suarez to the inside. Sorry, I should say Olsen to the inside line. Olsen now up into 5th place. Suarez down to 6th. Tim, what has Olsen taken? Because he is looking absolutely in a class of his own at the moment.
He's absolutely fired up here. 17 places. I mean, some races don't even have 17 drivers in them, and Olsen is driving the wheels of the IRA 4 car right down the #1 machine of Delta Sport. As if it's been a bit of an incident further down the field, involving Spence, Porter and Wong potentially. There is Bunn after that big incident he was involved in. And from the riches of race 1 to the disappointment of race 2, such a shame.
I mean, he showed so much pace, yeah. It's almost my heart goes out to Oliver Bunn, but I mean, the exact opposite of the race is Tobias Olsen at the moment. I mean, a disastrous race #1, but I mean, what? I said in commentary, what has he taken? As we have a look, this is what happened on lap #1. So this is Oliver Bunn. So the 207 car we are looking at the moment, the car with the green halo. So Suarez up the inside, and it's just going to be front wheel to rear wheel contact. That sends Bunn around, and then he tries to rejoin the track and just tags a few cars, and you have to have this awkward stare down.
He only made contact with the one. There was actually a separate incident. I think this is what we're going to see now with Boberg, where there was contact, and that's what made it look like Bunn was the instigator, but he wasn't. Look, well, he partially was. Ooh. As that all got a bit messy there. As there we go, Lee. I think it was him. No, it was Arroyo, wasn't it? Who was alongside him, and I think where Lee's rejoined there, he's made further contact with someone else coming through, and it's got very messy. But it was where, wow, trying to avoid the spinning Bunn, and everyone just ran out of track where they were side by side, and it was inevitable. We're going to have a big incident, and we did. But after an Pro-Am driver in race 1 finish on the podium overall in second, where else then? It's the German Tobias Seck, currently in second position, as this is what happened with Spence heading through the Mercedes arena. Oh, just loses the rear end there. And wow,
who was that?
So get your cigarette papers out, because that was you would have struggled to fit one of those in between. I think it may. I was trying to have a bit of a look at who it may well have been. I'm not too sure, Seb, but wow. So we're only 6 minutes in out of 25. I'm not sure I can take much more of this.
I'm completely with you there. Tell you what, Olsen will be wanting more of this race. He's already on the back of race winner Lennart Schnabel. Pulls to the inside line. We saw these battling to disastrous consequences in race 1. A little bit easier for Tobias Olsen this time by Suarez. Once again, just in the background of any battle that we have. He is so close to the action. Can Suarez finally get involved and take these positions? You feel like he almost deserves. Schnabel, though, in 5th place. Olsen in 4th. Next up, you have to say, for Tobias Olsen is Zwemstra, and if he can clear Kevin Zwemstra quick, he could be looking at you know, a decent podium, decent points, or even the race win. That would be an amazing feat. That really would be the last to first challenge. Jay Walsh at the moment, he's in 11th place on the back of this Pollard Nielsen fight. Nielsen looks to the inside into turn 11. That's going to be a great move if he can done. Pollard tried to defend, but Nielsen just simply went down the inside anyway. Walsh now catching up towards Nick Pollard. Charney's off the road in the background. That's going to bring Arroyo, Jose Arroyo into that fight. So really sort of a three-way battle in the forefront, and then a two-way battle in the background as we ride on board. We'll have a look at Jay Walsh, 316 car. He's trying to get past Nick Pollard. Pollard has already lost one spot on this lap, and I think he's just about to lose another. Walsh tries to go up the inside, backs out of it though, so I take it back. Pollard survives that challenge, and in fact, this Charney Arroyo fight catching up to the back of Pollard and Walsh. Tim, it could be very soon a four-way fight. All AM drivers. Tobias Olsen, though, in 4th at the moment. I was going to ask you in the warm-up, how do you think Olsen's going to come back, you know, from the disappointment of race 1? But I don't think we need to ask him, because he's clearly found a way, because I don't think I've ever seen Olsen in the Formula 4s just click with a car as much as he has done in this race.
So he's up 18 positions. A big shout out to Hans-Morgan Nielsen coming down in 9th. He's up 11, which by any normal races standard, that would be an absolutely epic result. Just seeing Arroyo here in Charney side by side. These two have been scrapping away for a little while, and the Mexican finally makes his way past Chani. That is for 12th place overall, and Jose Arroyo, now up 9 places. Again, another cracking result, but both Arroyo and Nielsen's results so far all completely and utterly eclipsed by the Swede Olsen.
Arroyo, one of the drivers to be involved in that first lap incident at turn 5, just lapping away at the moment, 55 seconds off the race lead. Jackie Wong, he's into the pits. I think he's had another issue on the last lap. Polliard, though, actually we scrap that. This is Olsen again making up another position. He's side by side with Zwemscher. Zwemscher's going to be on the outside line. Zwemscher almost reminiscent of Oliver Budd, and Olsen does exactly the same. Just runs a little bit wide at the midpoint of turn 1 and cuts Zwemscher off. And now Zwemscher under pressure from Schnabel, his teammate, behind Suarez as well, in on this action for good measure. Olsen in third, Zwemscher fourth, Schnabel trying to get past, trying to get even more points from this race event. He's side by side with his teammate. Does it feel like a late lunge into turn 5? Does he feel like playing the team game? Actually, Zwemscher goes oh so wide on the entrance to turn 5. That's going to allow Suarez to get by. Suarez side by side now with Zwemscher. He's going to be forced, though, to the outside. He's going to have to see if he can get it done down towards turn 9 into the chicane. Suarez, though, this is what, Tim, he's been waiting for. He's always been in the back of these fights, and he's just waiting for one of the drivers to make a mistake, and this is his opportunity. Suarez looking really good at the moment.
Looking incredibly good, and he's among the top pace setters as well so far in the race is Suarez. Portuguese driver looking at the back of two fighting teammates, and I'll tell you what, Olsen, since he cleared Schnabel, has just gone, see, I don't want to be part of this. I'm busy. I need to get after Sek in second place. That gap is healthy, though, because it is a good, well, 3.5 seconds between Sek and Olsen. So we're seeing a replay right now. Here is Jay Walsh. What would be your inside line and getting the move done. And just had to back out of it, but the 3.06 there of Polliard had to yield in the end after bumbling across the curbs, and a bit of a lunge into Coca-Cola curbs. So that's going to compromise his exit, and that place is firmly Walsh's now.
Almost felt like a repeat of Walsh in Polliard the lap before, where Walsh wasn't really attacking the inside line into turn 9. Polliard made a mistake and almost gave him the position. As you said, Tim, almost made contact as they headed into turn 11, but Walsh now up into 10th place. Suarez, though, unable to make it past Zwemscher into turn 1, but what can he do? Unfortunately for the Racing Forces driver, he's got two Alcantech NHR drivers ahead of him, both giving each other the slipstream. It's the same order they were in race 1. Schnabel ahead of Zwemscher. Olsen, though, in third. I cannot wait to see what he can do. What magic can Tobias Olsen present? But Jumentis on this lap, absolutely rapid first sector, really pulling out the space. But I take that back. Olsen 0.5 of a second quicker than Jumentis in the lead. Olsen sets the new fastest lap of the race. He needs a little bit more pace than that. Suarez looks to the inside. That's a late lunge. Caught Zwemscher, I think, a little bit by surprise. Zwemscher goes all four wheels off the track on the exit. Suarez, though, still remains in 6th place. But all while Suarez does these moves, he sort of distracts and puts off Zwemscher. Zwemscher is going to lose that time to Lennart Schnabel, and if Suarez can get him, you know, it's Daniel Ricciardo would say, vulnerable on the straights. Zwemscher is looking like he's going to be really under pressure from Suarez in 6th place.
I've set my calculator out, Seb, in terms of Olsen. Can he pick up another place and make it around 20? Well, the gap between himself and Tobias Sek is 1.8 seconds, and at their current pace differential, which is about 0.2 a lap, that Olsen is quicker than Sek. He can't quite catch him. He's going to need to pull something bigger out of the bag and have Lady Luck on his side, and he might just get up to the back of Sek. But it's going to take a massive, massive tall order if he wants to do that. I mean, having said that, the previous lap was a bit further, 1.1 seconds quicker. But even so, it's going to be close here, and 1.4 seconds is now the gap. There you go, we're on board with Olsen. That is Sek in front of us. And it's another, I'll tell you what, he's clearly listening because he is responding right now. There is another 8 attempts, and based on that sort of pace differential, if you keep it up, he'll be onto the back of him and in slipstream range by the end of this lap with Olsen.
And talk us through, to our viewers, Tim, you know, why is slipstream so important? Of course, it gives you more speed, you know, on the straights, but why, you know, because it almost seems like in every race we talk about this, you know, we always talk about the slipstream, just sort of emphasize to our viewers how important it is to be in that slipstream range.
Wow, big twitch there from Olsen. There's a bit of an off-camber the curb. That's a lot of bumps as you're leaving one track and joining the next on a bit of a service road. But it's so crucial, Seth. Olsen's wide, and this could be a done and dusted. It carries a lot of momentum, though. I think he'll get away with that one. The gap's going to grow from about 1.1 seconds up to 1.2. That is how hard the Swede is pushing right now. As it's in the background, Seb. I will come to your question shortly. I saw Zemstra just pull out of the slipstream of Schnabel. As they remain nose to tail with Suarez at the rear of them. But it's so crucial, Seb, for different reasons in different types of racing. Endurance racing, it's all about the fuel saving. And Schnabel wide again, and he's going to lose one place to Zemstra, and he could lose another place to Suarez, who's in that slipstream, and he's gone defensive to the inside of Zemstra, but all the speed is Pedro Suarez, the Portuguese driver. He's going to have his work cut out round the outside. Can he hold it on? Schnabel's back on the attack, Seb. This isn't going anywhere, this battle.
Certainly isn't. Schnabel trying to get past Pedro Suarez there, side by side through turns 2. It's Zemstra who leads this little battle, wheel banging on the entrance to turn number 3. They all managed to get away with it. Suarez now gets ahead. He's in 5th place. Schnabel with that mistake on the exit of turn 11 really cost our race 1 winner. Zemstra, though, the big gainer in all of this, and Schnabel, though, now has that option of the double slipstream. Pollard in 11th. Walsh is just driven away from him. The gap is now, you know, 5.4 seconds. Mulavtova, Charney, all trying to catch Pollard. In fact, Charney already making his way past. Pollard tries to throw it up the inside into turn 4, but to no avail. That's in fact slowed him down. Sarah Mulavtova's going to pounce on that opportunity to get up into 12th place. And Porter as well. We've not really seen the pace from Daniel Porter that we normally see, the pro-am driver. He's now trying to make his way past Pollard. Oh, and Pollard spins on the exit of turn number 6, I should say. Pollard just not having the best of laps, and I'll come to your question in a minute, Tim, but we have more battling in Mulavtova and Charney. Mulavtova trying to get 2 places done in 1 lap. Zemstra and Lennart Schnabel, and Schnabel and Pedro Suarez, I should say. But all while this battle's going on, Zemstra is just running away, almost cementing that 4th place. Suarez, though, still in that 5th place. Schnabel in 6th. Russell as well, still in 7th place. Been a bit of a quiet race for the AM driver ever since he fell through the order earlier on. So we have a look, Tim, at Sarah Mulavtova, and this is her trying to get past Kimwali Charney. So Charney got past Pollard on the same lap, I should say. Mulavtova just got more pace, and does it look like there Charney either running a little bit of a higher downforce setup or simply, as Charney actually locks up and goes off the track. But did it look like there that Mulavtova just had so much extra pace over Charney that that's either going to be a setup choice or Charney simply just backing off and not really wanting to fight Mulavtova?
I think a bit of that, those 2 different classes, Seb, and also just that natural pace differential, hence why we have the 3 different classes in this series. But I'll tell you what, we haven't hardly mentioned him since the race start. Yamantas, in a different class of his own, but behind him is where it's getting interesting, Sab, because that gap between Sek and Olsen is down to 0.3 of a second now. We could see a bit of a change between the pair of them. Well, we already have to, just off camera, Olsen has made it past Sek in that battle for second.
That felt like it was coming for a few laps ever since Olsen almost found that extra gear over Tobias Sek. You were right, Tim, they were lapping around 0.2 of a second difference between Olsen and Sek, but Olsen has just found even more pace on the last few laps. Is this actually going to be a mistake from Tobias Sek? Just Tobias Olsen nowhere really in the braking zone of turn 1. And that
at least let him go.
That seems a little bit, yeah, like letting him go. And also, it's not really Tobias Sek's race, is it? Is it, Tim? He's still going to get the overall podium, at least as it stands. But Sek, you know, the leader of his own class, the Pro-Am. So it's almost better just to not take the risk and just concede the position and just get those crucial points.
Seems to be very much that way, and Olsen does have a very slim chance of catching Yamantas. It will require a stake from the Lithuanian, but it is possible. Even say Tobias Olsen now 20 places, the back of the grid to second. As it's all happening further down the field, that is Schnabel getting back past Suarez, but he's going to have that slipstream all the way down to turn 1. And you can see Schnabel going defensive. The German and the 169 machine hugs the inside line against the pit wall. That should allow him to keep hold of this, but Suarez is hanging on right around the outside here, Seb.
Feels like everybody's gone to the school of defending into turn 1, just opening up the exit on the outside. Suarez just had to back off the throttle. Schnabel said, I'm coming through it, and he's entitled to do that, but Suarez, he's got the pace. Just, you know, that we've just seen it. As soon as you sort of get past into turn 11, you take the driver ahead by surprise. You can defend down towards turn 1, and I don't think any of us had that on our bingo cards of overtaking spots. Turn 11 around this circuit, you don't tend to see many successful overtakes happening into Coca-Cola Curve, but we are seeing that exactly here tonight. Suarez in 6th. Can he come back at Lennart Schnabel? Schnabel has got no slipstream assistance from his teammate up ahead, so he's really by himself. Suarez got the upper hand when it comes to that straight line speed pace. Suarez thinks about having a look into the NHK, or NGK I should say, chicane, but decides against that. Juventus, you're right, Tim. He has a lot of pace at the moment, does Juventus. Not as much as Tobias Olsen in 2nd, but it doesn't really matter. That gap is so big. I mean, 0.4 of a second was the difference on that last time by Olsen. Sets a new fastest lap as well for good measure, but the gap is so big. We've got 5 minutes left to go in this race. It's about 4 or even 3 laps, so it's just not enough of a pace differential. Porter having a look at Mullov-Tova. Mullov-Tova, our Pro-Am championship leader. Mullov-Tova, though, defends from Porter. Bun and Boba going side by side. Bun's trying to go all the way around the outside, and he cuts the chicane. He's undoubtedly going to have to give that position back to Rickard Boberg. He's going to have a slow down penalty. He'll have a notification on his screen screaming at him to just slow down. He gives back the position to Rickard Boberg. Bun trying to recover his race, trying to find that form that he had in race 1, making a mistake into the chicane, losing that opportunity at getting past Rickard Boberg. And Bun, I think, still in sort of slow down mode, just really not attacking the entry into turn 1, Tim.
Seems to be that way, and I'll tell you what, Bun, the early incident which put him down to the back of the field to recover up to 7th, so 14th, 7th in class. That is a good, strong result, but this battle continues on. I've lost track of what round it is, Seb, but, you know, these two have been battling so much. We're long past, you know, rounds 11, 12. It's been a real slugfest between the pair of them as, well, it's talking about a real slugfest. Porter trying to get past Mullov-Tova.
Mullov-Tova tries to go defensive. She goes to the inside line. Porter, though, already getting past Mullov-Tova before they've even hit the brakes for the chicane. Mullov-Tova's going to try and hang it down the inside. She's going to have to slow it down at the entry somehow. They do not make contact, and Mullov-Tova stays ahead. Porter, I thought, was going to end up in the side pod of Mullov-Tova, a la Olsen and Schnabel in race 1, but they make it through without any form of contact. But Porter, once again, has got that slipstream. Does he feel like he wants to go to the inside into turn number 1? I think he's a little bit too far back, but never put it past these Formula 4 drivers, and that's exactly what he's doing. Dives to the inside line, gets it stopped more. Mullov-Tova is a little bit wide, a little bit of a snap there for good measure. She still manages just to hang on to that 11th place, but Porter, this is the pace that we expect from we expect from Daniel Porter. Porter is just so quick normally. He's normally up there you know, with Oliver Bunn, with Mullov-Tova, but Porter just not really had the pace this weekend. I think maybe you've had an issue as well in race 1. Mantis, though, can now see Tobias Olsson in his rear view mirrors. 2 seconds separates first and second. A slow lap, in fact, from both of the top 2 that last time by, but Olsson still a couple of tenths quicker. I think, Tim, I've got a feeling this is going to go down to the wire.
There's a few battles that are, Seb, that are still yet to be decided. Schnabel, Suarez, Mullov-Tova, Porter, Bunn and Boberg, to name but a few.
Porter gets past Mullov-Tova. Porter now up into 11th place. So that battle seeming to resolve itself. What has happened, in fact, to Sarah Mullov-Tova? She is nowhere to be found on that camera shot. There she is, just rounding turn 11, the Coca-Cola curve. And actually, we can find out right now what's going to happen as we have a look into the braking zone. Mullov-Tova just a little bit too wide, almost spins in, almost contact, in fact, at the second part of the chicane, and Mullov-Tova there making a mistake, having to slow a slowdown for good measure. And that, I think, is that little battle done and dusted. 30 seconds left to go in this race. A quick mention of another sponsor of today's race. Now, SDK Gaming, it's what we use to provide our graphics on the screen. You can add a virtual live HUD to iRacing. You can show the timing towers like we have at the moment. You can show your fuel calculators, especially vital in these races where every tenth matters. You can stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. You can even broadcast your own league or series. SDK syncs your commentary team's cameras, focus, and you can drive with the overlay with your broadcaster. You can also adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. SDK Gaming has a 14-day free trial if you want to give it a go. I really do recommend it. And you can get exactly what you see on our screen at the moment. If you like what you see, I do recommend you give it a try. As we ride on board with Tobias Olsson, the #1 car, all a quiver through the apex of turn 5 there, Tim. We've got 1 lap to go. This feels like the dying moments of the race. Olsson can see Mantis, but it's just not going to be enough.
1.8 seconds, Seb. It's going to take a massive mistake from Mantis to lose all of that time. That's closer to 1.9 seconds, and I think Olsson knows it. Mantis only has a couple of corners left to negotiate. And this is going to see him take the victory. After a disastrous race 1, it's back up to the top step for race 2.
You're right, disastrous race 1. It felt like he was going to be nowhere, and then on the last lap we had that incident that promoted him to 8th place. That gave him the reverse grid pole, and Mantis seized upon that opportunity, comes across the line to win race number 2. Olsson up 20 places. Another driver that did not have a good race 1, but here is the battle still going out. That's Griffin on the inside. Is he going to be able to overtake Russell? They're going to go side by side towards the line, and they finish almost identically, almost finish at the same time, I should say. Russell, though, getting the better of that fight between himself and Griffin. Griffin sent it to the inside into the final corner. Russell had the better straight line speed, and again we're going to see a repeat. This is Porter and Walsh. Walsh now getting ahead, Porter getting ahead of Walsh, and this is going to be a little bit cleaner towards the line. Porter finishing ahead of Walsh. That was for 10th place. Mullov-Tova is going to finish in 12th as we have a look. This is the fight that we saw on the final lap. So if Russell goes in a little bit too deep, and that gives Michael Griffin the opportunity to go towards the inside, and now it's an absolute drag race to the line. We slow it down, and Tim, if we didn't have our lovely SDK timing software, I don't think we would have known who would have finished in 10th place there.
It would have been a lot harder for us, Seb. It would have been a lot harder for us. Well, that was 2 races that just didn't fail to deliver. Complete and utter change in between the 2 races. Schnabel dominant in race 1. Also seeing Mantis having awful races. Likewise as well in race 1 we had Bunn with that absolutely scintillating display. Pro-Am driver, 2nd step in the podium overall. Race 2, it just got flipped on its head. Walsh having a... Bunn having the race to forget. Likewise, Schnabel not having the best, but Yamantas and Olsen, wow, what races for them. Victory and up 20 places respectively between the two of them.
Absolutely incredible stats there. Yamantis takes the race win. Olsen second, Sek in third. They are your podium. And we've had 2 Pro-Am drivers on the overall podium today. Incredible result for both of them. Zwemscher beats out his teammate, their 4th and 5th respectively. Pedro Suarez will have to settle for 6th place. He had the pace, just unfortunately for him, not necessarily the luck. Philip Russell in 7th with Griffin in 8th place. 1,000th of a second separates those two. Hans-Morgan Nielsen in 9th. Daniel Porter rounding out your top 10. Walsh just finishing outside in 11th. Mulovtova had a difficult race, not the pace that she had in race 1. She finishes in 12th. Ricard Boberg in 13th. Oliver Bunn, as you mentioned, Tim, not having the race once again that he would have liked, and almost the polar opposite of race 1. He finishes in 14th place. Joseph Givens 15th. Nick Polliard in 16th place. Kambali Charney in 17th. Dorian Arroyo in 18th. Andy Lee 19th. Garrett Spence in 20th place. Jose Arroyo in 21st. And Jackie Wong in 22nd. Arroyo and Wong retiring before the race had finished. And Tim, I think it's time to have a little bit of a chat to our drivers. We currently have a few waiting in our interview rating room. Why don't we have a chat to race 2 winner Arias Yamantis? Let's bring him in, Tim, and have a little bit of a chat. Really fascinated to hear his side of the stories. Arias, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. I mean, race 1 didn't necessarily go your way until the last lap where you gained that reverse grid pole. And then ever since then, you just look like the man to beat. And you stand here a race winner.
Yeah, race 1 definitely didn't go to plan, but on the last lap, it was just a gift to me. And then starting race 2, I was like trying to survive the first corner, managed to do that. Then further up, I just tried to focus and not look back, and somehow I managed to get the win, but Olsen was making me sweat. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, he was sort of catching towards the end. Did you ever feel like your lead was under pressure, or did you sort of know, as long as you sort of kept it cool, didn't make a mistake, that you could bring it home in first place?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. When I saw him be behind me, I was like, I'm gonna have to try focus and just not make a single mistake, because he is insanely fast.
He is. I mean, he proved it. I mean, he's up 20 places from where he started. But I mean, you did a superb job. I think I asked him in the warm-up before race 2, like, how are you going to sort of reset your mind? As you said, race 1 was a little bit of a disaster for you and only really changed on the last lap. How did you reset your mindset going in to the second race? Because you've just, you absolutely nailed it as soon as the lights went out.
And I just told myself, get a decent start, try to not make a single mistake throughout the whole race, and it seemed to work out. I just tried to focus as much as I could.
It certainly seemed to work out for you. I mean, great result. And you talk about the starts. How difficult is it to get these Formula 4 cars away from the line? Do you have to really think about it, or is it a fairly easy car to get going
I'd say these cars are probably on the easier side, but you can make a mistake with them and get a terrible start completely. It's just trying to... It's somewhere in a bit between, because the wheels can't necessarily wheel spin off the line, but they can at the same time if you just let the clutch go too fast.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one to have a problem talking. You will watch the commentary back and I stumble over way more. So thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth. And before we let you go and celebrate, of course, your race win, is anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all on the broadcast?
Definitely my dad too. So he's always behind me and just keeps on watching the races, and we talk the strategy and what we should do, and he's just a lot of help.
Oh, well, that's really nice. Well, as I said, congratulations, and will we see you in 1 week's time when we go to the final round of the season at Alton Park?
Yep, thank you.
Well, that was Arias Yamantis, your race 2 winner. Tim, if you managed to find anybody in for an interview, I should say.
I have indeed, and well, I was joined by double race winner Philip Russell. For everyone else out there, it seemed to be race 1 went really well and it was a poor race 2, or vice versa. Yourself, Mr. Consistent, 2 7th place finishes overall as well to boot. Could ask for a much better round, really, could you? Philip, can you hear us?
I think Philip Russell is having his patented microphone issues. We'll hope that Philip Russell can fix his microphone. That unfortunately happens more times than not for Philip Russell. One day we'll be able to talk to him.
We'll come back to him, but for now joined by Race 1 winner Lennart Schnabel. Wow, it was a real, cracking Race 1 for you. You couldn't hope for much better, but Race 2, well, maybe not the result you were quite hoping based on the pace you showed in Race 1.
Yeah, Race 1 was very, very decent, except for the contact with Tobias. Yeah, Race 2, a funny story, my left screen broke down, or the cable wasn't connected, I don't know. So I had to run with the triple screen configuration on one screen. It was a bit difficult, but yeah, I think with P5 I can be very happy, despite the technical problems.
Well, considering he ran with effectively the real state of triples, you're squashed down into one monitor, I think that is an amazing feat, let alone to finish 5th overall. Makes it all the more vindicated. A great result for you here. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, a shout out to Kevin. Amazing job, P4 and P3. Decent result and good points for the team. Then as well to my parents and to you guys. Thank you for the stream. Yeah.
Pleasure is absolutely ours when you put on great racing like that. That's Lennart Schnabel who picked up the victory overall in Race 1. Seb, I understand you've managed to grab someone for a chat.
Indeed, Tim. I've got Tobias Sek, our Pro-Am winner in Race 2. Tobias, welcome to the commentary box. A great Race 2 by you. Actually, a great sort of racing event overall. An overall podium. You're a Pro-Am driver, so that must feel extra special.
Absolutely. Good evening, first of all. But yeah, that first race was decent. The second race was a lot of fun as well. And I had the great opportunity of having Tobias, the other one, coming up behind me, letting him through, and then just follow him around for a couple of laps to learn a little more about how to actually drive those cars.
Well, I mean, you say that you need to learn how to drive the car. I mean, you won overall in your class in Race 2. And you said that you let by Tobias also. Was that something that you were always planning to do when you saw him catching you? Or was this sort of a spur of the moment thing when you saw, the pace that you had into turn 1?
No. He was about half a second, if not a little more, faster than me for the previous 6-7 laps after he got the Alcantech guys. So I was already planning on finding a good part of the track to let him by, because I can't really keep him behind for too long, and fighting would just cost us time. He might have had a chance theoretically to still go for the win, and for me it was all about not losing too much time to the Alcantech guys behind to not give them a chance to catch back up.
And all of this, was sort of made by your fantastic start. We're actually seeing some of that on the stream at the moment. I mean, you just managed to find exactly where you needed to be on the track to make the positions. You ended up, in making up, I think, 2 places. You were in second for a lot of that race. Do you really focus on your starts, or does that just sort of come naturally to you?
I don't really focus on them too much, but I basically took the learnings from the first start, where I kind of got stuck a little in the hairpin, and then had to fight with Sarah for basically half a lap, where we went side by side until that position was sorted out. So I knew that I might try around the outside for the hairpin, and then going into turn 3, send it there and make up that second position after obviously getting a good launch off the line as well.
course, we're at the sprint layout of the Nurburgring today. Do you prefer it? Are you a convert to the sprint layout, or are you a fan of the section that unfortunately we missed out today?
To be fair, since I've only started driving open wheelers this season, I can't really talk about the other layout in this car. I know that in Tin Tops I definitely prefer the GP layout, but the one we used today made a lot of fun, was a lot of fun in those cars and felt really well paced as well.
Brilliant. We head to Alton Park for the final round of the series. Do you think your chances are good there? Do you think we might see you once again on the overall podium?
It really depends on, I guess, first of all, the format that we're going for next week. If we're going for the same format, there is definitely an opportunity, since Alton Park is such a narrow track, and I would be very surprised if no drama occurs there at all, with maybe somebody losing it in the hairpin, taking a couple of people with them, or cars losing it in the chicane. So I would expect a few of the fast people not being in the positions they're supposed to be, and therefore opening up the opportunities for everybody who is lucky enough to be in the right position at the right time.
Well, you made me really look forward to next week. Well, thank you very much for coming to chat with us in the commentary box. Third place overall, but the winner in Pro-Am in race number 2. Tobias, before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
And definitely shout out to you guys. Thank you for organizing everything, entertaining everyone with that awesome broadcast, and providing an awesome platform to dip your toes into open wheel racing. And I guess also shout out to Tobias and Will, because they are the ones I can always jump into cockpit view before the race and learn how to actually drive the car on the track, and then try to take it from there.
Well, thank you very much for coming and having a chat, and we'll see you in 1 week's time. Tim, have you found anybody else for a quick chat?
We're going to try and speak again to Philip Russell, our double race winner. Philip, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, as I mentioned, previously it was a race where, well, a round where you either had an amazing race 1 and a poor race 2, or vice versa. Yourself, 2 7th finish places overall and 2 wins in class overall. Couldn't have asked for much better, really, could you?
Perfect result, to be fair. It was what I wanted to do today, keep out of trouble. Practice, I was a bit worried because my pace wasn't there. I think I was P14 in practice, and I was thinking, what's going on? Because I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Obviously went into qualify. I think I qualified P8. No, P12. Sorry, forget that. And then managed to get up to P7. Had a sizable gap to the car behind, so I had a bit of a lonely race in race 1. But I tried to keep out of trouble with the guys fighting in front of me, Sarah and not too sure who it was, Hans maybe. Try to keep out of trouble, but I just wanted to finish in 7th, finish top of the AMs, and take some points, obviously, to go towards the championship, as obviously I'm leading currently, and there's only 1 round to go, so hopefully those points were handy towards that.
Definitely. Before we let you go, Philip, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
As always, thank you to you guys, always doing great commentary, and obviously the organisers for this championship, so thank you. My team, Go for the Gap Racing, and all the sponsors involved as well. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure at all. That's Philip Russell. Picked up 2 wins in class, in the AM class. Seb, what a cracking round it's been. I've really enjoyed my time here and stepping in for Austin.
I mean, welcome along. And you're right. What a race. You're more than welcome to come back in 1 week's time for Alton Park. Going to have, even more. If anybody saw the IGP Fun race there a few weeks ago, we saw that Alton Park was just a hotspot of action, just as Tobias Sek was saying. So tune in 1 week's time for the season finale of the ARA Formula 4 Championships. But from us here tonight, that is the broadcast done and dusted. If you want a little bit more of the Sebastian and Tim show, we'll be back in about an hour's time for the Formula 3.5 official series. That's always a good watch, so if you're wanting that, or if F3s are a little bit more your cup of tea, then IGP Fun will be on tomorrow at 8:30 GMT. Well, that's it from us. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Sam Fitzpatrick on production. Thank you very much, Tim, as well. And we will see you in 1 week's time as the championship heads to Alton Park.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.